How do I start a business remotely? And is this a good idea for saving on startup expenses? So, first of all, let me just say this. Is it a good idea to save on startup expenses? Yes, it is a good idea to save on startup expenses. Please save money on startup expenses. A lot of businesses fail because they spend too much money. You're going to start a construction business. You need a backhoe. Okay, good. Can you rent it? Rent it. Don't buy it. Wait until your income can justify it. Even if you see an amazing deal, rent it. Don't buy it. Maybe if you see a really good deal, you should buy it because then you could sell it if the business fails. But businesses need cash to keep going. So yes, keep your startup expenses low. Well, how do I start up a business remotely? Now, what kind of business are you going to do? Are you going to do a personal service business like home remodeling or something like that? And you're going to use your home as a home base? Okay, good. You're going to need the kinds of insurance typical for your business. Are you starting an online shop? Well, that's pretty basic. You're going to want to have a privacy policy, terms of service, a website, those kinds of things. And so you're going to just want the ability to do that. You might need to file for a sales tax exemption or sales tax certificate so you can collect sales tax. I would suggest having an accountant to do it for you because the laws are always changing on those things, and having an expert who's keeping track of those changes will be very helpful. But you can DIY these things too. And so then, one of the things you're going to want to decide is, do you want your business address to be your home address? And if you have an LLC or corporation, you must have an address that is publicly displayed that the world can use to contact you for legal questions and other things. And so if you've got a home-based business, you might not want your home address to be listed, in which case you're going to want a virtual office or something like that. If you have an office space or whatever, cool, but that's not really a remote business. How are you going to meet with customers? Are they going to be in your house? Or is it going to be remote? Or are you going to have a shared office space that you go to? There are companies like Regis, and so that way you can meet there. That's a real handy way to do it. But honestly, you're going to want to keep your costs low. And so I do think that having a remote business is a good idea. But I do want you to think about one maybe not so obvious question, and that is, how are people going to find your business? Oftentimes, a main way that people find your business is by going to Google and searching, or Apple Maps, or Bing, or one of these other tools, but Google usually. And Google and Apple and Bing, they put high preference on businesses that have an address on the map. And so one of the things that you can do, and you should strongly consider, is an office that you can list on Google Maps. So when I launched my law firm, I rented a a room from another attorney. He had a spare office space, and I rented space from him. And I worked there for 2 years. And this gave me a huge SEO advantage because when people searched for a lawyer, they would see me on the map. And this was really good because so my office is in Ankeny, Iowa, or was at least. And so I would show up usually number one in the list when people searched for lawyers in Ankeny, Iowa. Well, if you don't have a location that you can put on the map, then you're not going to show up in quite as many places. And so having some kind of a virtual office will be a good thing. The only problem is Google Maps doesn't like virtual offices, and so you have to be a little bit sneaky. And so you'll see that some virtual offices will say Suite B2, and so they might have a receptionist. Regis, for example, does it this way, and so those tend to work better. So having a virtual business is a fine idea. Many of my clients are virtual remote businesses and have home-based businesses and work fully remotely. I just want to remind you, subscribe so that you get to see our future announcements. Thank you so much. See you again in 2 weeks.